Hey y'all, welcome back to the Whatever Comes to Mind podcast. I'm Heaven.
And I'm Evan.
Yep. And I have a guest. This is Evan. So, before we start, you gotta tell them about yourself and why they should listen to you.
My name's Evan. I'm a sophomore here at UMSL. I don't particularly have any super big qualifications. I like to keep up with the news a lot, and I have done a bunch of social justice trips, and I've talked with a lot of national people such as Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff, Cori Bush, AOC. I've met them, and I have a lot of opinions. So,
hey, that's what this podcast is about, opinions. So, recently Donald Trump he's trying to make a new department of the government, which is called the Department of Government
Efficiency.
Department. Do you have could you explain to them what that is?
So, essentially, what they're trying to do, right, is make it so that the tax. This is what they say, right? Because you can't really trust this government right now, especially because it's made up of a cabinet full of liars, in my opinion. But what they say is that it's supposed to get rid of unnecessary positions, unnecessary places that our tax dollars are going to. But it's not they haven't provided checks and balances in this department. It's specifically going to be Trump and his cabinet deciding what is efficient and what isn't, and that's really dangerous. Really dangerous.
It was a man in the 1930s that did something similar.
His name started with an H or something. I don't know.
Yep.
There was literally a similar one in Hitler's organization, and it started out oh yeah, we're just gonna make the government more efficient. We're gonna get rid of corruption, but then corrupt turned into I don't agree with you instead of I'm using money to give myself power. So we'll see where this goes.
Yeah, we'll see. So I think getting rid of the Department of Education to replace it with the Department of Government Efficiency is ridiculous. Also, how? How do you determine what's efficient or not? It's no metric to that. This is the first time we've ever seen something, at least in this country, we've ever seen something of this nature. I think it's ridiculous.
There's a lot of firsts, honestly, in this specific cabinet and this specific presidency, and I don't think we will know how it goes. We can only guess, and we can guess with accuracy based on, of course, history.
Yes.
and other.
Here's my thing. If you described fascism to Trump supporters without saying the word fascism and dictatorship, they would agree with it. But it's when you call them those words that they don't agree. But everything a fascist leader would do, Donald Trump has done or is planning to do. But it's when you call them words. But they fit the descriptions. They just don't like the titles of it. That's how I think of them.
That's and it's not only the Trump organization. It's the racist movement here too. Yeah. Where they're oh, I don't hate black people. I just believe in all of these horrible hateful stereotypes.
Right.
And they just don't like being labeled with it. Oh, I'm not a racist, but I believe everything racists
believe. I'm not a racist, but all the descriptions of qualifications that a racist would have, they also have.
Exactly. There's I can't remember which TV show was it, but it was The Boys, where there was a Nazi on the show, and she specifically said that, right? She was they believe in everything I believe, they just don't like the word Nazi.
Yes. All of it, and then but the moment you called them a Nazi, but everything she was saying, they had strong beliefs in.
It's crazy.
Also, people are so dumb. There was a 700% uptake in the Google search. Can I change my vote?
Let's actually. I'm gonna pull that up.
He's my fact checker. I always respect the fact checker. If I ever say anything
there's so many other searches too.
Please fact check me. First off, if you're dumb enough to vote for Trump, that's okay. That's your constitutional right. Stand on your vote. No, you can't change it. What? Okay.
So this is Newsweek. It says it spiked. According to data queries about how to change my vote, spiked on the Monday morning or the morning of election day on November 5th at 7 a.m., reaching 100 before gradually declining through the day. Google Trends assigns a value between 0 and 100 to search volumes based on the total number of searches during a given period. So everyone was like, it's not just, oh, it's 100 people. It's like they rated it 100 in terms of how popular it was.
That's ridiculous. Like, no, like, what are they teaching y'all to? Why do you even think that you could possibly do that? How would you do that? All our votes don't have our names on it. Like, that's so dumb.
It's people don't understand. And then there was also like, what is a tariff? And here's the other thing. People are like, Trump is gonna make this government so much better.
You don't know what a tariff is. You have no idea. Okay, guys, if you don't know what a tariff is, it's a tax on an imported good, like a good from like not from here, not from the United States. So if you put tariffs on imported goods, that when it's like if Nike has to buy the T-shirts from China where they made them at, if you put a tariff on them to buy it, that means when we buy it at the stores, it's gonna cost more.
Because the company that's importing it has to pay the money to the Chinese to import, or not even the Chinese, yeah, just to the government that they're trying to import it from. And the purpose of this is to stop exporting
goods from other countries.
Importing goods from other countries.
Getting it back, yeah.
Importing goods from other countries. And so it's like, oh, it's going to be more expensive to buy these things, right? So let's just buy them in the States. But the problem is
we're not manufacturing nothing in here like that. All our shirts say, unless you get it specifically made here, your shirts say made in China, blah, blah, blah. So it's like.
And it's not only companies too. When you're talking about like, check the back of your shirt right now if you're watching. Check the back of your shirt, made in China, right? Or made in Taiwan, or all these other countries, made in Vietnam.
Yeah.
And it's very few things that are like purely made in the United States. Another thing is like computers, for example. The microchips, the processing chips, the A3 Apple chip, for example, it comes from Taiwan. The Snapdragon.
Yes, bro. All like Ford is one of the only American car companies I could think of right now. Like everything is imported. Like that's how the world works. That's how countries succeed when you have importation and exportation rates of goods.
My Trump supporter friend was talking about buying a Toyota soon.
Ain't this from Japan?
This is from Japan. Toyota's a Japanese company, and she actively voted to make it more expensive to buy that car. And it's just like, I even brought that up to her. She was like, well, it is a Japanese company, but we're actually making some of them in the USA. I was like, you have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
Okay, explain to them your Trump supporter friend and your thoughts around that and why you're still her friend. Explain to them.
Okay, so I've seen a lot of people, and I've heard a lot of people, we had this conversation, talking about how they don't want to be friends with Trump supporters, and a lot of the people that we've hung out with over these past 8 years even, went out and voted for Trump. And it's very easy to just say, oh, you hate me, you hate my rights, you voted against that, and it's likely to be true, but when you do that and push these people away without talking to them, you don't give them a chance to grow and educate them, right? If someone was like, oh, you voted for Trump, and I was like, oh, you're stupid, you don't know what a tariff is, that's very off-putting. And then the Trump supporters get to be like, oh, those, the liberals were so mean to you, like, we won't be mean to you, we promise, please come vote for us. And so we need to be very welcoming. And that's not what I've been with I have been welcoming with my friend, and I've tried to kind of talk to her about it. She's like a really big Trump supporter, like, pass the guns to the kids around, like, during Christmas time, I've heard her dad say the N-word more times than I've heard, black people say the N-word, and like, he's racist. One of the most embarrassing moments I think I've ever had with their family is I was actively dating one of my ex-girlfriends who's black, and was just talking to them about something that happened in school, and he's like, all black girls are good for is getting pregnant and raking in welfare. And I was like, you don't even know who I'm dating and how much of a wonderful person they are, and you're already making these judgments. But I'm their friend, and I've been trying for many, many years to try to get them to kind of see the other side.
So when do you give up? When do you stop trying?
That's a great question. I haven't really come to terms with that myself, because I believe that everyone, no one is born evil, and everyone at some point, if they see the bad that they're doing, will change. Some people are selfish.
I think at a certain point, some people cannot change. Like, okay, like this is gonna get biblical. Like when God hardened Pharaoh's heart, because he kept hardening his heart against him, it was at the point where he couldn't change anymore. So so he couldn't change it. So I think after so much hatred and so much bigotry, some people cannot change at a certain point, and you have to let them go. But so this is my experience. So it was this girl I was friends with. Then I asked her if she was a Trump supporter. First, she didn't want to answer the question, and I'm just like, at any rate, you just won the election, so you need to at any rate, you winning, right? So I'm just confused on they'll be ashamed of their beliefs in public, but that didn't stop them from going to the polls and stuff. So I had asked her if she was a Trump supporter. I had no clue previously. We had just got done doing a little presentation on vision board, so I had really no reason to think she was. But it was the day after the election, so I feel like that's the best time to ask that type of question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I had asked that, and then she was like, I don't want to share my political beliefs. I was like, okay. That made me think yes, and then so I was like, okay, well, if you're a Trump supporter, just walk around with your white hood and your red hat for the rest of your life. And she was like, no. Then she asked, did you think I was a Kamala supporter? I was like, no, but Trump is the only person with support. Like, whenever the next Democratic presidential candidate come along, that's gonna be who we're supporting. We're not gonna be stuck on Kamala. She lost, next candidate. Trump, they treat him like he a team. Like your favorite sports team from when you was a kid that you gotta stick with your whole life. No. So I did not think that you were a Kamala supporter. I just thought you would be on the side of human rights. Because all in her little vision board was about Christ and love. And I'm just like, a vote for Trump is a vote out of hate and not out of love. But the point was, I was asking her, and she was like, I don't want to talk about it. And then I was like, yeah, just stand on your Trump business like the police gonna stand on my brothers and sisters' necks now that they got full immunity. And she started crying. You winning. You just won. Me personally, if I was her, I would never let me say that to me. I'd be like, I just won. So I just thought her crying was crazy. And I just felt like that was an example of white fragility. So that's my experience with that. Yeah, and I tried to, and then I was like, okay, if I had to think about what I really wanted from this conversation, because I did not want her to just cry. I wanted her to see how she was wrong. So I apologized to her for that. I said, I apologize for making her cry, not for what I said, because I felt like everything I said was right. So I was like, okay, what I wanted from this conversation is for you to explain your beliefs and me to explain mine, and to see if we could ever somehow get to a 50-50, 75-25, some shit. So then she was like, well, Kamala said that I voted for Trump because he loves Christians. But Christians are supposed to love everybody, not just Christians. So she was like, yeah, but Jesus wouldn't. I'm like, Donald Trump is the biggest form of idolatry in America today. And that's a horrible saying too. So it's like, I just wasn't really picking up what she was trying to do.
And just to add something, in terms of the Donald Trump being, a good Christian, and
he made his own Bible. What the heck?
A, he made his own Bible. B, if Jesus of Nazareth came to the United States in seeking to come here into the United States,
they would make fun of him. They would call him a 33-year-old virgin hippie. That's how they would describe him.
They would not let him come to this country. They would tell him to go back home, and they would treat him horribly. Jesus was about giving to the needy and helping people. But Medicare for all, nope. Help, affordable housing.
They did, okay, I'm sorry, I got it. They didn't know that Obamacare was the Affordable Care Act. They thought Obamacare was for the blacks. I'm talking about the dumb people of America. They thought Obamacare was for the blacks and affordable crack was for the whites. It's the same thing. They just called it. It's like calling something a car or a whip. It's the same thing. They didn't understand that.
So one of the things that I also
the correlation between red. Okay, yeah, we finna transition a little bit. We're gonna talk about the correlation between red states and education rates.
So you probably have all seen the map that has red and blue. I'm just gonna kind of show it up here. Let me see. Here we go.
The bluer the state is, the higher it is on the education ranking. Massachusetts was the bluest on the map, and it's also ranked number 1. I don't think those two things are causation, but the correlation. What am I looking at? Where is Mississippi?
Mississippi is right here.
Yep.
Mississippi is red. Arkansas is
what's
dark
this?
red.
Oklahoma.
Oh, this is Arkansas.
Arkansas. Yep.
Arkansas, North and South Dakota.
The reddest state on the map is 50th. It's ranked 50th in education. They are lower than Alaska. Nobody even there for real.
It's shocking, and it shows that misinformation really is the right's way to take control of the election. And to kind of bring it back to, like, what is a tariff, for example? Right before the election, people were like, oh, Trump's going to bring tariffs, and it's going to be really great for the American economy. And that was his whole running point. Oh, he's going to be so great for the American economy. Oh, he's going to be...
They don't even know how the economy works.
And also, right, the right was showing these graphs, specifically showing how after Trump took office in 2016... the economy went up.
Because that's Barack Obama economy. That's why in 2009, when Barack Obama was inaugurated, he had a horrible economy. That's because of the president before him. So in 2013, when he got re-inaugurated and put back in office, when he had a better economy, that's his economy now. So in 2016, Donald Trump was working under Barack Obama's economy. And in 2020, Joe Biden was working under Donald Trump's economy. And in 2025, again, when Donald Trump gets re-inaugurated, he's going to be working under Joe Biden's economy. And Bidenomics is just starting to kick back in. It's just starting to work, and we're just now going up.
And not only is Biden probably like really good for the economy, but he also had to fight back the inflation that was brought on by COVID.
We had a global pandemic. No economy was doing good.
The only reason that Trump, if you look at the economic well-being of the United States under Trump, there's going to be a big spike and a big drop once it gets to Joe Biden. The reason that spike was there was because the election happened in 2020, right when COVID happened. And when everything kind of shuts down, the economy goes up because of supply and demand. People will pay more for
the same amount of stuff, or even less. Stuff,
just because
motherfuckers is buying 10 gallons of milk. Like, people was not that, like, the tissue, they'll pay $5 for 3 rolls.
They were hoarding up on toilet paper too. Yeah. Like, everyone went into a panic buy, and of course that if you raise the prices as a business, and there were a lot of businesses who did that, where you would see the prices go up so much, and they eventually got kind of told, hey, you can't do that, this is a global pandemic. But you saw a lot of businesses raise the prices, and people needed that stuff, so they paid the price.
Yeah. Okay, can you Google Project 2025 plans?
Project 2021.
I got into an argument with someone who I once considered a friend, because they said that they believe that Trump was a better candidate. I think the qualities of a good leader would probably be honesty, your wits, your age, how the American people feel about you. Okay, so in 2016, when Donald Trump won the election, one of my Hispanic friends, she was worried for her life. A president should never make the normal citizen. She's a natural born citizen. She was born here. Her parents were not. The president of the United States should never make the normal citizens that go about their life, paying their taxes and doing the right thing, feel scared. Now, if you a criminal, like hard on crime, that would make sense. If you don't belong here, but the president of the United States should never make that everyday citizen, the normal little middle class citizen, fear for their life. And that's why I don't think Donald Trump is the right presidential candidate. Because the president should not strike fear. How do you strike fear of me if you're an elected official? Okay.
So you asked me to pull up 2025. This is a direct quote from Project 2025. The homepage, the first thing you see. Project 2025 is a historic movement brought together by over 100 respected organizations from across the conservative movement to take down the deep state and return the government to the people. Its mandate for leadership, the Conservative Promise, published in April 2023, is a product of more than 400 scholars and policy experts from around the country. The book offers a menu of policy suggestions to meet our country's deepest challenges and put America back on track, including, now I'm gonna read these, but as a viewer, what do you think that our top problems here are in America? And we'll see if these align with you as Americans.
Yep.
Me personally, the economy, right? That's a good one for me. But I think the American or the Democratic Party will do better, not the Republican Party under Trump.
Okay. Yep.
Equality, rights for transgender people, stuff like that. Now, this is what this says. Our biggest problems are secure the border, finish building the wall, and deport illegal aliens. Though these are exact words, I'm not paraphrasing. These
Please
are exact
go to
words.
project2025.org, fact check us. I think if you are in a debate or talking to someone and you think being fact checked is a bad thing, you lying. Like,
Fact checking is extremely important, especially with all the information.
which is why I don't understand how people are so dumb now. Anything you just said, I could have been like, Siri, is it true? Boom, boom, boom. Yes or no. So it's all, we have these these alien devices that let us transmit information to almost any place in the world, and people are still clueless about the things. So
crazy.
The plans for Project 2025, and this is just some of it. Cool. It ban abortion medications, put limits on contraception access. It plans to go after marriage equality. So in 2010, I believe, it's called a no-fault marriage. So it's like it kind of helps with the legal battles and all of that, so you could get away from people without it having to go through court. And it also helps a lot of women who don't have all the evidence against their abusers get away from them. That's a part of the plan that's been taken away.
Really?
Yep.
That's crazy.
They plan to withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement. It plans to reinstate and expand Trump's Muslim ban, eliminate union and worker protection. It guts Social Security and Medicare. I believe that, our grandparents, they've been paying Social Security since they was young. We paying into our Social Security now from our checks. That's been a part of America for going on 80, 90 years now. I don't really understand why it has to go away, considering the amount of people that it helped and the amount of money we all put in as individuals.
One of the other things that they're going to do is de-weaponize the federal government by increasing accountability and oversight of the FBI and DOJ. Unleash American energy production to reduce energy prices. Cut the growth of government spending to reduce inflation. Which, by the way, government spending is extremely important, especially for projects like affordable housing and
the Department of Education.
Exactly. And they actually, further down in the list, they say improve education by moving control and funding of the education from DC bureaucrats directly to parents and state local governments. Education is meant to be a hub of information that is reviewed and processed to be true. If you separate...
Your parents will lie to you. This is what he's trying to say. Your parents will lie to you. Your parents will and have lied to you. They're going to keep doing it.
And these parents are fighting to get their rights to teach their kids that all black people and all Muslims and all immigrants are bad. And that's what this is, literally indoctrination.
Yes.
It will increase indoctrination across the United States, and it will...
Donald Trump the other day said he's trying to give white people reparations for the racism that they have experienced.
What racism?
Donald Trump hates the critical race theory, y'all.
Critical race theory is extremely important. Like, when I was in school, I took a class called Black History where we learned critical race theory, and it's very enlightening, and it helps you understand like the struggles that people in this country went through and the struggles that they continue to go through, as well as the suppression of information that has been going on in our American schools to kind of undermine the stories and the history that these oppressed groups have been, experienced.
Yes. Critical race theory is not teaching your little white son that he is a bad person. What it's teaching him is that historically people who look like him and people who look like me have been treated differently and have gone through different things in this country. And the way we get treated and act today is a result of those things. If you feel guilty about learning about slavery,
you should.
Why do you feel guilty that your ancestors were slave owners? Do you have any slaves? No. That should not make... If that makes you feel guilty, that tells you something about yourself and what you've been thinking about doing. Because you don't own no slaves, so you should not feel guilty. I hate a white savior complex.
Speaking of white savior complex, that's also one of the things that we were taught in this class was we were talking about what are really good movies that teach about Black history, and I was talking about The Blind Side. And The Blind Side, by the way, you could look at it as it's a really good, equality and Black power, but it's not, because it's white savior, right? You have a Black kid who's struggling, and the movie shows him struggling because he's not in the right communities, and he's with a bunch of druggies, right? And then this rich white family comes in and saves him and helps him, and that kind of perpetuates the idea that these Black communities are so bad and so horrible, and the white communities are the ones where you can have the most success, and it's not true at all.
Well,
people don't know that, though. They don't, and you have to teach them that, and that's why critical race theory is so important.
Also, the department, under Jimmy Carter's presidency, that's when we got the Department of Education. The amount of kids that are able to learn and have access to public schools, because if we don't have public schools, that means we have charter and private. The public school system and the free lunch system and all of that have saved kids' lives. For many kids in America, the school lunch, that 5 days a week, that breakfast and lunch is their only secure meal that they know and that they're going to get. And I just think removing funding for things like that is very much inhumane.
And not only is it the lunches that are going to get removed, right? Let's take race entirely out of the equation here. The Department of Education helps give IEPs to students who need them.
Yep.
So if you have ADHD, if you have depression, there are many, many kids here who have IEPs, including myself, and that would be removed.
Also, the speech, so in my elementary school, I went to a public school it was mainly for immigrant kids. So they had speech therapy for us for free. We had speech therapy, the IEP, the special learning classes.
Mm-hmm.
Even we also had the advanced learning classes, all for free. And this was all public schools. That comes from what? The Department of Education. Without this, it's so many kids who could have had a chance to go to school and succeed that won't have it no more.
It's the fall of public information and the rise of indoctrination.
Yeah. Kids have been getting indoctrinated from beginning of time. Once you were able to semi-successfully remove the state and the church as one, you were able to see literacy rates rise. People were knowing more. This is the time where in this time in human history, you should know the most about your country because you have the easiest way of accessing it. Now people know the least about it.
And it's also there are people in this community, right, who benefit from UMSL in general. I work at the library, and you have so many people in the public who don't have phones, who don't have computers, and are able to come visit our schools and help us, and we can help them with our free access, and they're able to apply for, like, there are so many people who come into the library and apply for jobs because they don't have a printer at home.
Yeah.
And if you defund that, not only are
banning books, bruh.
That's another thing. We're literally you should not and cannot ban books.
Has anyone ever read Fahrenheit 451? Stop banning books, please.
And they banned that book. They banned the book about not banning books.
Yeah,
how fucking hypocritical is that?
They did ban Fahrenheit 451. That if you ban a book about not banning, that's ridiculous work. Also, like our FAFSA, some of ours are cooked. Some of ours are cooked without the FAFSA.
FAFSA is extremely important, and FAFSA is flawed inherently, but it still helps.
Yeah.
Especially underprivileged students and people who are extremely smart, but just don't have the funds to be able to get the education. How many? I hear like a whole argument in the pro-life community about like how many Einsteins are murdered when the parent.
How
has
many
an abortion.
Einsteins are in third grade right now and will never advance past that level?
Because they don't have the funding, because they don't have the teachers who care about them.
Yeah, it's like a saying that the greatest athlete and the greatest whatever was in your third grade class and never matured to it.
Exactly. And I have my own specific
talk to him.
I have my own specific like whatever, like I'm angry because I went to Ladue, and Ladue is full of like really rich, anyone who knows who lives in St. Louis knows about Ladue, right? Rich white kids. And there are other kids who they bring in from like the inner city, right? And those kids get so mistreated because they are viewed as the other. And there are so many, my mom, her job at school is to work with these kids. And these kids are so sweet and so smart, but they are never given the opportunity.
Never.
And they may have things that are going on at home, for example, but these teachers, if this kid acts out, it's not, maybe something's going on at home. It's, they're just another violent black kid from the inner city. And it sets them up to fail in these systems, but they could be so, if they were given the right treatment and the chance,
opportunity. Yeah. That's what this country was like founded on. Opportunity, right? And the way the government is set up, it could be, first off, the government does do at least an okay job at like free public schools, all of that. They do at least an okay job at it. And you're trying to take that away, like the busing programs to get the kids to like the better schools and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like that's ridiculous to me. I just find that to be ridiculous, and I feel like the government should protect individual liberties, and it should promote equity and equality and giving people opportunity. And you can't tell me that defunding the Department of Education is giving people opportunity. You will never ever be able to convince me of that. And even if you could, defunding the Department of Education and then giving full immunity to the police, that I don't think that promotes equality or opportunity, or the pursuit of happiness. Actually, I don't think it does.
It doesn't. And I'm gonna go back to the whole thing about how like people are scared under a president. The black community is scared under the president. From what I've heard and who I've talked to, I mean, you can confirm that. Yeah. The Jewish community, for example, is also scared under the president. The immigrant community is scared. The disabled community is scared. The LGBTQIA plus community is scared. Yep. You have all of these people who are scared for their rights. How is that okay?
It's not. From personal experience with the police growing up, I've heard the police be referred to bitches with badges so many times. And
never heard that actually.
Yep, bitches with badges. That's what they got called. So, I think the police are an inherently racist institution, I don't even think most police officers are racist at all, actually. Or I think most of them come in with good intentions, but the system is bad. So, like, bad roots will always plant a bad tree, or however that saying goes. So that's what I believe. So, yeah, so it's just like listening to how one community expresses their opinions and their life experiences about a certain institution and then voting to further that is crazy to me. And that's about anything. That's not even about black people with the police. It could be. It's about anything really. If a marginalized group has had 1800s, centuries of dealing with oppression based off a certain institution, then you vote to further that, you cannot be friends with them because you do not care about their lives.
And the other thing that's really bad is you have these people who watch a Joe Rogan podcast, or they read an article from Fox News, and then they'll have the audacity to come to a person who has struggled their whole life, and their family way down all the way for centuries have struggled with these things, and they come up and tell them that, oh, well, it's actually not like that.
I hate a get over it type person. If like, let's just go with voter suppression, and if that stopped after the Voting Rights Act of the 1960s, you could tell me to get over it. But you can't tell me to get over something that has continuously happened in every single election ever. And it's just, you can't tell me to get over my life experiences that I'm going through as we're speaking. I think that's a crazy way to approach someone. Okay, but I do want to get more into trying to humanize the people, even if they are voting against you. Like, how did you get to that space?
So, in this specific topic, there's really one person who revolutionized my headspace with humanizing people you don't agree with. Well, two people, actually. I went on this trip called Etgar 36. And Etgar 36 was a social justice trip that was based in the idea that you should be able to have a conversation with someone you don't agree with. And you need to talk with not only people that you agree with, but people that you don't agree with to truly know.
I do think people who don't agree with each other need to be around each other. I think the worst thing that can happen is polarization, because then eventually you get too far. I just think it's hard to do. But polarization, I think, is one of the worst things that can happen, because they can start here and go here, and once you cross a certain threshold, I don't think you could ever return. So, keep going.
So, one of the, just to give an example of what some of the things we did, we went to Columbine High School. We stood in the park at Columbine High School and talked to the father of a student who was shot and killed at Columbine. And we talked to him about gun reform and being the safety of students and the safety of people just in general, with guns being as easily accessible as they are right now. But then we also went to Utah to the NRA headquarters and talked to the NRA about, what does it mean what does gun control mean, what's already in place. And it was really enlightening. And the person who kind of taught me, you have to talk to these people, his name is Daryl Davis. Let me pull up, how old is he? Here, you can talk.
I have my specific thoughts on gun control. The Second Amendment is there, and as it should be. You can have a gun. You do not need a semi-automatic, full sniper, AK, Draco, because all of those weapons are made for mass destruction of human beings. I do think you should be allowed to have a gun. You don't need something that could shoot 80 shots at once. You are a civilian, not military personnel. I think you should, over 21 is a good age for a gun. Perhaps I don't think open carry states should really exist. Perhaps because seeing somebody with a gun puts people on edge. Seeing someone with a gun also will convince someone not to rob them. So, but it really. I do think gun control is a good thing, but I do think people should be allowed to have some guns. You just don't need the biggest gun on the market, if you ask me.
So, Daryl Davis, he was born in 1958. He was a musician for most of his life until he had a specific moment where he was he was asked to play in a primarily white bar. And when he did this, he was called over by some of the people after the show. And one of the things that they said to him was they'd never heard a black person play the piano like Johnny Cash. And one of the things he said is that Johnny Cash learned to play piano from black people. And that also kind of shows, like Elvis, right? Elvis spent a lot of time in poor black communities and got his inspiration from those communities and kind of, not, I wouldn't say whitewashed it, but he brought it.
Eminem said he was the best person to do black music since Elvis. So I just thought that was funny to put out. Yeah.
That's actually, he said that?
In one of his songs, he was like, best thing since Elvis to use black music so selfishly. Yep.
I mean, Eminem is even an example of this. You were like, oh, Eminem's the best rapper. Like, oh, I like rap. Like, I love listening to Eminem. And like, Eminem's a white person who brought rap, which was primarily, I mean, it has its roots in R&B and even in jazz in the black community. And so you have these people like Elvis, and you have these people like Johnny Cash, and you have these people like Eminem, who basically are put white faces on a primarily black genre and help bring them out.
You have to do that sometimes. You do have to accommodate to the masses. I do. Sometimes a white savior is kind of what the community needs. Eminem did help a lot of white people open up to black music, which is hip hop and rap. Yeah, sometimes a white savior is needed. I don't think it always is, but it shouldn't have to be needed, but it is. You do need if you're only 20% of the population, you do need the at least 45% of the 80% to be on your side to be successful. I don't think that's how it should be, but it is. And sometimes you do need someone that looks like them to, even if they're doing what you do, to bridge the gap between y'all.
Especially because when you talk about like jazz and you talk about Elvis and you talk about, you know, hip hop and R&B, a lot of the reaction to these are, oh, it's devil's music.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna make your kids, you know, oh, it's gonna make my kids go join a gang and get a gun, and like that's not what it is. But that's how the white regime helps keep themselves and their own culture prominent. They fearmonger, which is exactly what Trump does and exactly what's happening right now in the world. But you have something to say, so.
Okay. Everyone could watch a movie and recognize that this is something that they want us to watch, we paid for it, and it's not real. Everyone can do that. I don't understand. This is like switching topics to rap music. I don't understand how they can't do that with music. Everyone knows that the Denzel Washington that you're going to watch in Gladiator 2, it's not who Denzel Washington is. That is a character they put on. It's the exact same thing with artists. Most of them use a stage name. And it's like, if you really, it's nothing about rap music that makes me want to go out and kill someone. 88% of the time, it's like, my homeboy killed him, now he in jail for life. Nothing about that makes me want to do it. I'm actually not going to do that. So if you're that easily influenced by something, by a 2-minute, 30-second bass drum song, I think we have bigger issues. And that's actually about like rap music and music in general. And really about influences.
And also, I mean, you can probably speak to this as well. The messages that are being promoted in a lot of these songs, people only focus on like the gun violence and the drug abuse, but these are like not them having drug abuse problems, but like cyclical trauma of, there are people in this country who grow up with gun violence in their neighborhoods and with drugs, and they tell these stories about over policing, and they tell these stories about the struggles that they went through, but people like skip over the fact that this isn't them trying to tell people to do these things. This is these people telling their own stories.
A lot of time it's just their life experiences. And yeah, sometimes it is glorified a bit. But if he tell you in his song he did 20 years in jail for doing this activity, that makes me think maybe I shouldn't do this activity so I could get 20 years. That's like, well, yeah, I started smoking at this age and then blah, blah, blah. Well, maybe I shouldn't start smoking so I don't have to go through your life experiences. Music tells a story to me, and if you think of the song as like a book, a start and an ending, and this event led to this event and vice versa, then I feel like you should not be influenced by rap music to go do the crimes, because they're telling you they're going to jail.
Also, the same people who do this also like love
Country music not no better. Country music is not no type of better.
drinking and driving, and
Right.
they also love war movies, and they shoot guns and kill people more in those movies than in any rap song imaginable. And
Happy belated Veterans Day. Thank you for your service. Too bad Trump is trying to get rid of your benefits. But
also that
but thank you for your service. For fighting for this country. That's very brave of you. Happy belated Veterans Day to y'all.
Happy belated Veterans Day.
Keep
So more on Daryl Davis. Daryl Davis then realized after meeting with these people that one of them was a member of the KKK, and once they started talking, this dude kind of seemed like uncomfortable, similar, right, to the way that Trump supporters feel when they're kind of talking. Like he's like, oh yeah, I love your music, but like, oh, my political beliefs, they don't matter, right? When in secret he goes to rallies that burn people on crosses that are the same race as you. Which just shows the historical validity or the historical,
Which is why voting for
cycle.
someone who's endorsed by the KKK is crazy.
Also that. And the KKK, by the way, a lot of people don't know this, and it's kind of bothering me my whole life. Like, there are a lot of Jewish people in the Jewish community who, I mean, not a lot, but there are some who vote for Trump and are like, oh yeah, KKK. The KKK also hates Jews too. The KKK are neo-Nazis.
The KKK hates Jews. So, did you ever watch that one movie? It was Black Klansman.
The Black Klansman
And
with
when
Adam Driver.
when they found out he
and-
was
yeah.
Jewish. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They're neo-Nazis, and the Nazis hate Jews, they hate blacks. I mean, and this is also another thing, right? In the Holocaust, blacks were killed.
I gotta stop you. Stop. Okay, guys, do not say blacks. This is why. You can say Americans because America is one place. America is one place that you can point to a map. Black is not a continent or a country. The black community is ranging from everywhere, almost everywhere on the planet. You can say Mexicans because Mexico is one country. So don't say blacks, please. Please say black people.
Black people.
Or in America, you can refer to them usually as African Americans because that's probably where they came from. Okay, keep going.
It's my bad.
I just have to get that off. That has actually been bothering me for about 12 years now. So
Especially after that one class.
yeah.
So, like, it's not just one community that's going to be affected by all these events. In the Holocaust, it was at first the Jews, and then it was people who were trans and people who just didn't agree with them at all.
Special needs people.
Special needs people. I mean, I recently went to Auschwitz, which was one of the concentration camps, one of the biggest and most deadly concentration camps